right, so I'm finished for the day, and I want to teach you how to clean up really, really well your workspace because each day you're going to want to wipe everything down, store your clay, and put it all nice and safely away. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take care of my project pieces. So I've got these 3 pieces that I might save for my project, and I want to keep them safe. So if you're storing your stuff in your box, your clay project, which I recommend storing your clay project in your box, and then storing your clay and other things on top of them. If you can do that, that's really helpful. I'm going to put mine on this bat, but you guys have a styrofoam tray that you can put your pieces on as well. So I've got this black bat. Now remember that all clay loses moisture as it is exposed to air. If I've got coils, I'm just going to kind of loosely wrap them around here. And I want to then take my bag. You can use the garbage bags I gave you. You can also use Walmart bags and stuff. Just check and make sure that they don't have any holes in them. And you're going to put your tray inside your bag. Remember that you're sealing it up on purpose. So when you're done with your bag and your tray, get most of the air out. And then just kind of wrap it underneath. Or you can bring it off to the side here. And you can just twist it and tie it. The big bags are great for tying and twisting because you've got a lot of bag to work with. There we go. So I put my clay away in my box where it goes. Then I've got some tools. So you probably don't have this many tools, but I used them all for my demos. So I've got lots of tools. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my extra clay. So this is clay I didn't use for a project, and I'm going to end up putting it back in my clay bag. Make sure that is sealed up. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to empty my tools of extra clay. So I'm going to try and pick up all the extra clay with this piece of clay. I'll put those off to the side. That one doesn't really have any clay on it. And I'm just checking over, making sure my tools don't really have much clay on them. If they do, I'm sticking them back onto my ball of clay here. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this ball of clay and I'm going to use it kind of like when you were a kid and you picked up Play-Doh with your other Play-Doh. I'm going to go and try to catch as much as I can of that extra stuff. All right, and now it does have some dried bits on it. If you've got any impurities, like I had little blue flecks, pull them out, throw them in the trash. This I can just ball back up, and I'm going to stick it in my clay bag, and I might spray it or put a little bit of water with it because it was sitting out the whole time. So I'm going to seal this extra piece of clay in my clay bag. All right, so now I've got a cup of water. I always recommend having a cup of water near you. And I'm just going to check over, and I can use my sponge if I want to. And I'm just going to clean my tools. If you have a slop sink, you could clean off your tools as long as they don't have much clay on them. But I recommend using this cup of water method because then you know how much clay is in the bottom and you can dig that out if you need to. I don't like to put clay down my sink. At school, the sinks can get clogged even though they have special traps. At home, you really don't have those special traps, so I don't want you to clog your sinks at home. I clean the handles too so that when I go to grab it, it's not yucky and goopy when I need it again. Now this is how you should be cleaning up your tools most days or every day. This will keep your tools from rusting, and it'll also keep them nice for you to use in the future. also keep your box clean, which is really helpful. It's a good habit to get into, to always clean up your stuff and take care of your stuff. Artists do a really nice job with that because art tools are really expensive. So each tool that we have is probably between like $2 and $7, depending on how nice it is and stuff like that. Some tools can get up into like the teens and 20s. And that's why we reuse everything and clean everything, even your paper clip. All right, so I've cleaned up that area. If you're planning to leave your canvas out, you can just wipe that down. I would just use your sponge and I would just wipe your canvas down. If you've got a lot of gunk, you can pick it up and shake it outside. Don't shake it in your trash can. You don't ever want clay dust, so you're always cleaning with a wet sponge. So I'm never going to be brushing this clay off. I'm using a wet sponge to clean my clay up. Okay, so I've got my canvas cleaned up. If you've got a big grout sponge, I like to use this in my studio at home and in the studio in the classroom. This does a really nice job and you don't really have to rinse it as much because it takes good care of all the messes you might have. But if I didn't have that, I can still use my little one. For time's sake in the video, I'm going to use my big one, and I'm cleaning the table around me, always with a wet sponge. I always want to clean up clay with a wet sponge. Because you don't want to breathe it in. It's not good for your lungs to breathe in all the time with the dust, which is why we clean up with a wet sponge, to get rid of that dust. All right, so my area is clean. I've got this cup now. It probably has some gunk in it. So what I would do is I might let it settle while I'm working. And then when I go to the sink, I can pour out the water and most of the clay should settle to the bottom. So I let the clay settle all the way to the bottom and then I can dump it in the sink. And when I start to see just sludge, then I can just dump that in the trash. You don't need that. It's probably contaminated anyways. I just wouldn't put big chunks of clay in there because then you'll lose those. And then you rinse out your water cup, clean it out, and then I put all my tools right back in it so I'm ready to go next time.